But we wanted to speak first to Miranda Devine. She is, of course, a New York Post columnist. We spoke to her at the time, more than 2 years ago, about the censorship of this story. She's since written a book about it called Laptop from Hell, which is excellent. She joins us tonight. Miranda Devine, you are at the very center of this story. What do you make of it?
Look, I think we've seen quite a bit that's useful. It's not really the smoking gun we'd hoped for. I feel that Elon Musk has held back some material. In particular, there's a tweet in which Matt Taibbi says, well, he hasn't seen any evidence that law enforcement specifically warned off Twitter from our story. But that's just not correct. I've seen a sworn affidavit from Yoel Roth, the former head of Twitter's trust and safety. He was meeting every week before the election with FBI and other intelligence officials. They warned specifically of what they called a hack and leak operation, a dump of Russian disinformation. And Yoel Roth says that in those meetings he was told there was a, quote, rumour that it was about Hunter Biden. So they seeded that information with the social media giants, the FBI did, and that ensured that within hours of our story going live on October 14, 2020, 3 weeks before the election, it was censored. Now we're finding out a little bit more that there was discussion behind the scenes at Twitter, quite an active argument about whether this was a First Amendment problem. But the other interesting thing is how little Jack Dorsey was involved. He was obviously just blindsided, it seems, by the people under him who were intent on censoring this. And I think we have to point the figure, you mentioned him already, Jim Baker, Twitter's #1 lawyer, who says he says their caution is warranted. Now, that's coming from your top lawyer. You're going to pay attention to it. He, of course, is former FBI general counsel, very much involved in the Russia collusion hoax.
What's interesting is, for the purposes of today's story, which, as I've said 5 times, is still unfolding, but Elon Musk announced earlier that this release of documents was going to begin at 5 p.m. Eastern. We're now more than 3 hours past that, and we still haven't seen everything that they're going to release. He said, well, actually, at the last minute, we're getting some facts straight. How likely is it, do you believe, of course it's certain, that he was leaned on by government agencies? Just like everyone who tries to release all the information is leaned on by government agencies.
Yeah, and the pressure has to have been immense. I remember just yesterday, Wednesday, he met with Tim Cook from Apple, who had been threatening, even though Elon Musk now says he wasn't threatening, but he was threatening, as was the White House, that Twitter would basically be wiped out by being removed from the Google and Apple app stores. And so Elon Musk met in person with Tim Cook. They had a stroll around the pond of Apple headquarters, and came out of that saying, well, Apple is not going to do that, never was going to do that. Well, obviously some sort of accommodation, you would think, was made between the two of them, and perhaps Elon Musk has given us a sort of a tailored or redacted version of all the material behind the scenes, because I know from the lawyers who were involved in the deposition last week of FBI agent Elvis Chan that there's much more to the story with the social media companies, and that top Twitter people like Yoel Roth, the former head of trust and safety, basically the top censor, the top moderation guy, he admitted that in one of those meetings that Hunter Biden's name was brought up. So while Mark Zuckerberg's been quiet about that, and while in this particular dump of information from Twitter so far, 38 or something tweets so far, there's been no mention of Hunter Biden being mentioned, but we know he was mentioned by the FBI to the social media giants. So will that come out in this feed from Elon Musk? Is he holding something back? Or is it just that Facebook really was first out of the blocks to censor the New York Post and Twitter followed suit? So I don't know. I suspect that Elon Musk has been leaned on, and he's kept a little bit of information in reserve.
Yeah, well, there are still thousands of pages of Warren Commission documents under seal, so that would be consistent with the way things work in this country. Miranda Devine, thank you so much. Great to see you tonight.
Thank you.